It's not the goal of CERN to produce weapons. Over the last 20 years, when you sum it all up, we have produced something like 10 billionths of a gram of antimatter. That's about the energy of a firecracker. It's only when you have huge amounts, like a gram or something like that, of antimatter, that would be dangerous. Then I would not sit in this room.
In Dan Brown's Angels and Demons, technology is pitted against the church in a deadly showdown involving mysterious clues, secret cults, and a frantic race against the clock. Hey! But just how serious is the real-life struggle between science and faith? And could it really lead to conspiracy, violence, and murder?
Wait, Vatican City.
Oh, that is exactly what they want. Publicity and panic. No, you must not give them oxygen for the media fire.
But the people in St. Peter's Square
Care deeply about their church, as we do. Their faith will sustain them.
Their faith will not protect them from an explosion.
We are all bound for heaven eventually, are we not?
In Angels and Demons, the deadly antimatter bomb is set to destroy not only Vatican City, but also 200 cardinals who are locked behind closed doors while taking part in one of the most mysterious and secretive rituals in Catholicism, a conclave.
Conclave is a period of time after the Pope's death where they select among the cardinals a new Pope. And the cardinals are locked for hours and hours at a time into the Sistine Chapel. No cameras, no outsiders, no recording devices. No one really knows what goes on there.
They've been put under conclave, that is to say, under lock and key, so they don't take forever to do it. And for about the past 400 or 500 years, supposedly the cardinals are to keep secret what goes on in the conclave.
Originally, the conclave had to have sort of great secrecy about it because there were lots of influences of people trying to buy off the elections, rich Roman families, emperors wanting to determine a veto vote, and so on.
So what exactly does go on behind those closed doors?
They say that the conclave is one of the last sort of political events where you don't have voter fraud, because you get one cardinal, one vote, he's got to handwrite it and take it up to the altar and say a prayer in front of Michelangelo's Last Judgment that he freely chooses this person for Pope, and then he puts it into the chalice, and he's watched by the 3 scrutineers who then have to take it out and count it, so they've got all of the ballots accounted for, and it is a very strict system of voting with no chance for any kind of outside influence.
The notion of locking the cardinals into a space in order to deliberate and arrive at this all-important decision, it's not just about focusing their energies. It is about locking evil out. And it's an aspect of our story, Angels and Demons, because here at this moment when they're trying to make this crucial decision, evil, in fact, permeates the Vatican.
In Angels and Demons, the conclave is called when it appears that the Pope has died under mysterious circumstances.
If the Holy Father was murdered, the implications are profound. Vatican security is impenetrable. No one from the outside could have got anywhere near him. He was someone on the inside, and we can trust no one.
But while the assassination of the Pope in this story may be fictional, mysterious deaths at the Vatican do have a basis in historical fact.
Obviously, the Pope is a figure that many people might have an interest in attacking. Madmen or people who are politically or ideologically opposed to the Pope for some reason might have a motive, just as they would for a head of state in a political sense. There's the same danger surrounding the Pope.
In the nearly 2,000-year history of the Catholic Church, a number of popes have met violent or mysterious ends. Many of the early popes were martyred. In the year 903, Pope Leo V was allegedly strangled. And in 1047, Pope Clement II was poisoned by sugar laced with lead.
You had plenty of periods where popes were poisoned or potential popes were taken out before they could be elected, and certainly cardinals were paid off in order to elect the son of a wealthy family, or in order to elect the person that the emperor wanted elected.
But perhaps no papal death has gained more notoriety and been shrouded in more mystery than the sudden passing of Pope John Paul I. Elected in August of 1978, he died just 33 days later.
The official version, of course, because they couldn't say at that time that a nun had found him dead, was that he had been found dead by his private secretary. Nonetheless, the suspicions and the rumors started that he had been poisoned. Now, why might he have been poisoned? One theory was that he was trying to get rid of the Masonic influences in the Vatican, and indeed had a list of Masonic members who were priests in the Vatican. And it was said that with the influence of Masons in the Vatican, they poisoned him. The Vatican obviously concluded that it was a heart attack, and that's it. It will forever remain a mystery, like many things in the Vatican, because they themselves conduct the investigation, and so you don't have access to whatever the investigators discovered, and everything else is just rumor.
On May 13th, 1981, the succeeding Pope, John Paul II, was shot and wounded in St. Peter's Square by a Turkish assassin named Mehmet Ali Aja. The event shocked the world and caused the Vatican to reevaluate its security measures.
In the wake of the assassination attempt on Jean Paul II, security measures around the Vatican have been dramatically increased. The Pope-mobile that John Paul II used to drive around in, well, that was after he was shot in St. Peter's Square. And those glass windows are meant to protect the Pope from bullets. And after 9/11, they installed metal detectors in St. Peter's Square so that anyone going into the Basilica would be searched.
Ernesto Olivetti, Inspector General of the Vatican Police Force.
My pleasure.
This way, please. We'll meet in the headquarters of the Swiss Guard.
I thought you were Swiss Guard.
No, La Gendarmeria, we are responsible for everything inside the Vatican walls, with the exception of the security of His Holiness and the Apostolic Palace. That is Swiss Guard.
Vatican City is a sovereign city-state sitting on 110 acres inside the center of Rome, home to a population of 900. It is the smallest country in the world, and for centuries has been guarded by two independent security forces. The first, called the Gendarmerie Corps, or Vatican Police, is responsible for border control, traffic regulation, and criminal investigation. The second is an elite force called the Swiss Guard. Trained in Switzerland since the 15th century, they serve as the Pope's personal bodyguards. But there is another duty shared by the papal security forces, and that is to make sure that what happens inside the walls of the Vatican stays there.
The results of any investigations in the Vatican are always kept private. So, for example, in 1998, with the murder of the commander-in-chief of the Swiss Guards, his wife, and possible suicide of the corporal that supposedly killed him, the killings happened at about 9 in the evening, and the next morning we already had declaration from the Vatican as to how the event unfolded and the motivation for it. The complaint, of course, was that that really wasn't enough time to do a thorough investigation. But the Vatican is always very attentive to keep things as private as possible. And